all the things that are promoted in these teachings of truth. What would be the harm if I and all of society followed it?
No.
What would be the negative side of that?
Yeah.
But if you've got the other philosophy that everybody's got their own truth, and I can, make my truth and you can make your truth, which is what we got now. And what kind of a result have we achieved? Why are people coming to the psychiatrist or the psychologist for help? You see, if everybody's got their own truth, and it's just like, hey man, I can do what I want and I know what to do. And then why are they having problems?
Because that's what we're already doing.
Why there's so much mental disturbance and anxieties and depressions and all the obvious, signs in society that something's not as good as it could be.
Hey there, happy to have you here and checking out the Breaking Trail podcast. My name is Ruben, and this podcast is where you learn to navigate life's journey through ancient wisdom. Today's talk will be about truth, whether all paths lead to the same place or if there is an absolute truth, and how we can find that. So I'm really looking forward to this. Hope you are as well, and let's start. We just had a meditation retreat this weekend. And, many people came, really nice mood, beautiful out there. I have to just say this like a little parenthesis, but, the colors now and the leaves and the forest, it's like the whole forest is on fire.
Yeah.
Beautiful.
Amazing.
Yeah. So,
cool.
We went for some hike. I went to it's like a 7-kilometer trail. You go maybe like 400 meters up and you get to the foot of this glacier. And it's the whole valley before you get to the glacier is just really sharp, steep sides. And when you get there, it's just, because the glacier is kind of like pouring down between on the mountainside. So you have this amazing, like big kettle, almost like you're surrounded by the big mountains, like in all directions almost.
Wow.
It's beautiful.
And you can see the ice?
Yeah. You can walk up to the ice.
And it's blue, right? Kind of blue.
Yeah.
Glacier ice blue.
Right now it's kind of like dirty, but yeah, the black.
Dirty brown.
Dirty brown. But the lakes in front of the glacier, though, they are amazing color, like this teal blue.
Yeah.
Whoosh.
Glacier lakes, man, they're so nice. It's a lot of minerals in there too. That's one thing that adds to all that color.
Yeah. Can you imagine that? Maybe
we finished a hike. I don't know, not last week, but the week before. The rainbow hike. I was telling you about that rainbow. And anyway, we ended at a bridge over a stream, and I washed my face and hands and hair in this stream just to cool down a little bit. And my hair got stiff, just like if I'd been swimming in salt water or something.
Wow. So, but because it was that cold, you mean?
No, because it was minerals. No, it wasn't cold. It didn't get stiff because freezing. I mean, the water was freezing cold, yeah. But no, because after it dried and everything, it was just sticky, like so much minerals in the water.
Oh.
Yeah.
Wow.
A lot of stuff comes down, man. Glacier milk, they call it.
Oh, really?
Yeah. You've heard of the Hunza Valley, yeah?
No.
In Kashmir, that's where one of the places on the planet people live the longest.
Oh. No, I haven't heard of
it. And one of the things they contribute their longevity to, one is they eat a lot of apricots, a lot. They grow apricots and they eat a lot. And they eat the seeds, the inside of the seed, apricot kernels. But another thing is they drink that glacier milk. That's the water they have because that's their water.
Oh, yeah.
And it's so rich in minerals. So, yeah, they reckon that's a very contributing factor to their longevity.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
Wow. I can imagine. I have.
So go up there and drink out of that lake. That's the point.
Yeah. I didn't think about that. I thought about swimming in it. That's what was my plan, but I didn't really have time. I had to come back to. I was going to teach a yoga class later in the afternoon, so I didn't spend so much time there. But yeah. So the story about the retreat leads us up to the point of that we had an evening of a question and answer session, and this is a topic that I've been thinking that we should speak about sometime, because I think it's very relevant, and it's about truth. So this lady was asking us. She was kind of provoked in a sense by the sense that we claimed to know the truth or presenting the truth. She thought that was better to present it like, well, there are different opinions and they're all the same, and this is one way to see it and that's one way to see it, and we all have different versions, and you can we all have our different truths, and that's, I guess, what her whole view of it was. So we there are many aspects to this, and there are many things I thought we could discuss to this extent. So if someone asks you that question because we're sitting here, we're discussing things that are proposing to be true. If someone asked you the question of, how do you know that what you're saying is true? And isn't that because her feeling was that we're kind of arrogant to sit here and propose that something is true? How do you know that is true?
Well, it says in our scriptures, the Vedic scriptures, that really these knowings and realizations and revelations come as you apply these teachings, and they purify you of all your contamination, which includes skepticism. And why doesn't a person want truth? Because then it robs them of the authority that I don't have to follow any one particular teaching, because I just make my own truth, which is convenient for me, which appeals to me, which satisfies my mind and puts me in a position of authority. Really, that's one of the main motivations behind this kind of thinking. Because if you accept there is a truth, then that means I'm subordinate to that truth. And whether I follow it or not, I'm still subordinate to it. I'm controlled by it either directly, or I'm controlled by the fear of it, or the rejection of it.
Yeah.
So it's really an uncomfortable position for a lot of people to be in, because they don't want some ultimate authority. But if we apply these teachings of Bhakti Yoga, it purifies us of false ego. I want to be the guy. I'm number one. I know. Don't tell me. See, all this is false ego. Yeah. False prestige, self-aggrandizement. And gradually, as I'm, kind of purified of that, I began to appreciate the truth, because now there's an actual direction. There's an actual authority that I can listen to and follow, And more and more I realize as I advance in this, purification, that I don't know. See, in the beginning, I know, but gradually you realize I don't know.
Yeah.
It's like a kid, when they're young, they think, I know my parents don't know anything. I know everything. What do they know? But as they grow older and more mature, they may realize that a lot of the things that Mom and Dad said were actually true.
Mm.
You know, it's kind of a joke, but maybe it was a real statement of a guy said, you know, when I was 17, 18, you know, I couldn't believe how little my dad knew. But when I became 30, I couldn't believe how much he'd learned in those 12 years.
Right. Oh, yeah.
So you just kind of wake up,
Mm.
you know, like, wow, there is some wisdom here.
Yeah.
But the wisdom of the Vedas is time immemorial. And we're not saying we know the truth. We're saying we accept the Vedas, which are the sources of knowledge.
Mm.
And everyone who has, you know, the great teachers of the past who have accepted and taught this truth, you know, have actually proven by their own life's example that they were greatly rewarded, you know, with peace and harmony and satisfaction and happiness, you know, and the ability to withstand all the obstacles and challenges of life. And, you know, they were radiant and they were, you know, on a higher level of consciousness, you know. And it's because they accepted the teaching and applied it to their life, and therefore became qualified to pass it on. That's our whole disciplic line, and parampara. And, you know, so again, we're not saying I, Reuben, know the truth.
Mm.
You know, it's just like I have accepted that this source of information is true due to, one, the person who introduced me to this, I also have respect for, and I see how it is, you know, so much enhanced their life. You know, I trust this person
Mm-hmm.
to be, you know, a qualified speaker or knower, someone I can trust, and they're accepting it. This is all part of that. I accept it because my teacher accepted it, and he accepts his teacher, and it goes back to the source of the Supreme Lord. The Vedic scriptures are the guidelines for humanity.
Mm.
And if you look at all the teaching in the Vedas, let's say you did follow that, what damage would it do? You know, what damage would it do to you if you applied these teachings?
Mm.
You know, the meditations, you know, the clean lifestyle, and the development of compassion and concern for others, you know, and the respect, you know, that we should have for everyone, you know, right down to the insignificant ant, you know, and, you know, all the things that are promoted in these teachings of truth. What would be the harm if I and all of society followed it?
Yeah.
What would be the negative side of that?
Yeah.
But if you've got the other philosophy that everybody's got their own truth, and I can, you know, make my truth and you can make your truth, which is what we got now, and what kind of a result have we achieved? You know, why are people coming to the psychiatrist or the psychologist for help? You see, if everybody's got their own truth, you know, and it's just like, hey, man, I can do what I want and I know what to do. And then why are they having problems?
Because that's what we're already doing.
Why there's so much mental disturbance and anxieties and depressions and all the obvious, you know, signs in society that something's not as good as it could be.
Yeah.
So, you know, you can just, and it depends on the person you're talking to. And, you know, a lot of times they won't accept it anyway, no matter what you say. You know,
that's true.
Because they're already convinced that what they say is true, you know. And
but Yeah. So one thing is leaning on the examples of previous persons who follow this and seeing the result of following that, and another is then
yes,
yeah. But then so you can't. I guess the point is you can't know that something is true until you've yourself undergone the scientific process of the stepwise process of doing on your own life on applying that and experiencing that as true. Like I can't.
That's one way, but another way is just the Lord's in everybody's heart, and He can confirm or reveal or tell us that this is true. I don't really have to go through the whole process of experiencing it over years and so on and finding out in the end, yes, it's true, you see, because a lot of people are just not going to do that.
Yeah.
I mean, they're just not that serious about it.
Yeah.
But if a person's serious about knowing the truth, not saying I already know, but saying I don't know, then the Lord can confirm, like He can reveal to them, this is true. So it's just an internal knowing that you can't really explain to some. How do you know? And in your heart, you just know. Like that was how I personally knew that this was true. It's not that I lived it for 20 years or 30 years. And after that length of time, yeah, this is true.
I see what you mean.
I just knew that it was true. It rang true, And so therefore, I didn't really have a struggle with that.
No.
But
so you don't...
there were periods of time where I thought I knew the truth too, because well, what truth did I know? I read books. And in this book, somebody who wrote the book, and they usually had some position as a yogi or some big authority in the science of life, said this is true. But sometimes oftentimes, what was taught in that book I was reading didn't ring true in my heart. I mentally accepted it.
I see.
Because it sounded cool and that sounds like cosmic or, I kind of like that idea, but it didn't ring true in the heart.
Yeah.
But when I met this teaching, it kind of had some tenets of the other teachings, but a lot of the other teachings were actually not aligned with this teaching, and this teaching rang true.
Yeah.
And therefore, I just, my spiritual teacher, he was so much convinced and radiating, this whole, revelation of truth, and he'd accepted it 100%, that I couldn't deny that either. That had a big influence on me. It's not like he was kind of speculating and saying, well, he knew this was true. And it wasn't his truth. This was another point. It wasn't his truth.
Exactly.
He accepted this Vedic teaching, and his spiritual master accepted this Vedic teaching. None of it was any of their truths that they came up with, through, compiling a little bit from what this guy said and another guy said, and, taking a little bit from this and something from a personal life experience and, kind of arranging it and putting it all together,
right,
coming up with their understanding. It's just like, here is a teaching which is true. And so all of that for me, quickly convinced me, yeah, I accept this. But everybody's where they are, and some people don't. If you don't want to know the truth is true, if that's a problem for you, you don't really want to know there is an absolute truth, because it robs you of being the source of your truth, then you're not going to accept it. Because the Lord gives us what we want. Yeah. He's in our heart. He knows what we want.
Yeah.
And if I want to be convinced that this is not true, then he'll give me that conviction.
Right. So, and then that would be the conviction that we're debating against when we're talking to someone about this. And that's, of course, a debate that we can't win.
Yeah, you can't win. A man convinced against his will is of the same opinion still.
Yeah.
Against his will is, I don't want to know this truth. I don't want there to be an absolute truth.
Yeah, yeah.
Maybe out of the teachings this lady or anyone heard at your retreat, something was interesting for her, or she liked that idea. So maybe she'll pick that out and add it to her philosophy.
She said she was really happy for the kirtan. She liked the music and the yoga a lot, and just so yeah.
Yes, Kali Yuga. As soon as you start talking philosophy, you're going to have pushback.
Yeah.
The age of hair-splitting sophistry. You say this, and another person says that. As long as you just chant, this is meditation. You can do Yogaranga meditation. You can do Hatha yoga. You can go for walks. You can have nice meals, nice, vegetarianism and all that. You're very rarely going to get a lot of kickback.
Yeah.
I mean, people just, I like this.
Yeah.
It feels good, and it's no philosophy. It just feels good.
Yeah.
But then you have that class, and there you go. Now you got the arguments, and the pullbacks, and maybe the person or people don't say anything, but they're going through this internal, turmoil.
Yeah, exactly. Exactly. So maybe it's better that at least that it's expressed so that one can address it.
Yeah.
But so to that extent, it's kind of like if someone would so that you're what you're saying is basically that you've accepted that there's a truth and they can do that too, but unless they how do I put this?
Or just if you can encourage them, okay, let's just forget all this philosophy. We agree that we don't agree. Let's just chant. Let's just chant. And that's sometimes the best way to go. But at a retreat, when you've got a schedule, okay, now we're going to kirtan, now we're going to do this, and now we're going to have a class, then you kind of got to have that's what we're supposed to do too. I mean, we're supposed to bring this message to people.
But I now remember what I was also wondering about something that you said, because I do think it's possible for people to accept easier, in a sense, if you say that, okay, so this is the Vedic truth, and we only present the Vedic truth, but then that also has a tendency of putting it in a certain box of this religion says this is the truth for those guys, and this is a particular way of viewing life, and that should be clearly presented. She asked us to clearly present that beforehand, this is a specific worldview. But then how does that go together with the fact that the truth is true everywhere, and this is not about categories, boxes, religions. It's the one truth. We don't.
Well, it's not a religion. It's just, Jesus didn't teach religion. He taught the truth. So did Muhammad. So did all our great teachers, Lord Gauranga and, all our teachers, which is, unlimited number. Vasudev didn't write down the Vedas to create a new religion. He was just presenting the truth, And in medicine and so on, isn't that what all these scientists are looking for? Like, what is the truth about the cure for cancer? If they're true scientists, if they're true scientists, they really want to know the cure for cancer.
Yeah.
And so they do all these experiments and so on like that. But if somebody could just come on out of the blue and just say, look, here's the cure for cancer. You just do this. And all your cancer patients, whether they got lung cancer, they got, brain cancer, they got this cancer, leukemia, whatever. If you do this, it will cure them. And they did it, and the guy got cured. Then they'd be so happy. Wow, now we know. We don't have to speculate and try this chemotherapy and kill this guy and, do another radiation treatment, cook this guy's brain, and we can just do this and it works. Wouldn't that be superior?
Yeah, if you'd be ready to accept that,
Well, if it was shown, okay, you got a cancer patient, try this, and they try it, and the guy gets cured.
Yeah.
And they go, wow, well, that's just one, but let's try another one. And that happened too. And they do a clinical trial and everybody got cured. Then a true scientist would be happy. But if it's not a true scientist and he's got all kind of agendas incorporated into his so-called scientific research, the grants now, he doesn't need to get grants because what are you looking for? We've already found it.
Exactly.
You see, and all the chemotherapy, pharmaceutical companies that, make it so you got to spend unlimited numbers of dollars, for one little bottle of stuff. They wouldn't be happy with that. And so they would do their best to try to squelch it.
Yeah.
Well, that's not true. It's fake. There's no proof that works. Well, we just cured 100 people out of 100 people. Nah, that's not good enough. In other words, it depends on the agendas of people. But we're talking about true seekers here. If a true scientist really wants to find a cure for cancer to help people, that's really the position of a doctor, isn't it?
Yeah.
Supposedly, I want to cure people of their disease.
Yeah.
Then they would be over the top ecstatic.
Yeah, because that's the goal, and the means doesn't matter in a sense. Like as long as that goal is achieved, then
oh, I'm an American, and that's a Russian cure, so I won't take it.
Yeah. Yeah.
Or whatever, all this kind of stuff. That shouldn't come into play. Oh, well, I'm a Christian, and your teaching comes out of India, so I can't accept it. This kind of mentality is a very, very big obstacle to people's, spiritual growth, opening up to the truth. It didn't come from India. It came from the Supreme. See, all this knowledge. Jesus, was teaching the same thing. Muhammad was teaching the same thing. You've got, the figureheads, the founding personalities of different religions, and they all said the same thing. Did Jesus just sit around and speculate? But, oftentimes these kind of people don't accept Jesus either. Well, how do you even know Jesus was real? That could be some
of course.
fabricated personality, and all these people are just being controlled by this concept that there was a person named Jesus, and he healed people and he spoke about heaven. And how do you know that's even true?
Yeah, well, no.
So the skeptics are always going to have their arguments.
Yeah, but
the atheists will always have their strong arguments. And atheist means atheistic. It means really against the truth. And therefore they have the freedom to do that.
Yeah.
Because
because ultimately, I guess it comes back to that being revealed in your heart. Like, okay, so I've been told that Jesus did come. I mean, and because it rings true in my heart, all his teachings, everything makes sense. A piece of the puzzle like fit in to the picture. Then I accept that as a reality. And while if I guess you have a different mentality that doesn't fit into whatever you want to, then you wouldn't accept that. Your heart would tell you something else.
Yeah.
Or
But the chanting obviously is the one, and that's why it's recommended for Kali Yuga, because it's the equalizer. You can argue philosophy till death, but the chanting is just non-sectarian. You can do it. I can do it. You believe this. I believe that. Another person believes something else. But we can just chant, And it's very likely that a person will feel that very quickly. They'll feel something. Oh, wow, this makes me feel peaceful, or this makes me feel good, or this kind of lifts me up, or this makes my life, brighter. And they feel that, you see. And so you kind of, have a panacea that works for across the board. So if a person's interested enough to come to a yoga retreat, they're not just an everyday person in one sense of the word, They're attracted to the whole concept of yoga and meditation and, whatever they may envision that to be. And so they're in a pretty special category of people. And
there was a lady that came to the retreat, and she said, like, she spoke to a friend of ours, and she said, like, yeah, I've been to a lot of yoga retreats before, so I kind of knew how this retreat would go and what would happen and how it would be, and our friend asked her, well, did it? And she said no, this was completely different. So she said, like, apparently you didn't know that. No, so that's just like, I guess that might be for people that have that experience as well. It might be challenged because you're used to it being taught in that way, that all paths lead to the same place. And I mean, I haven't been in an ordinary yoga retreat, so I don't know actually how it is and what they teach. But
I haven't either. Never.
Oh, well. Yeah. But
when I started chanting, there was no yoga retreat.
Yeah.
But if there would have been, I would have gone.
You went to rainbow gatherings, didn't you?
No, I was way before rainbow.
Oh.
I started chanting in 1971, and the first rainbow gathering was 1994.
Oh.
Yeah, so it was very different.
Yeah.
Not the first rainbow gathering, but the first rainbow gathering I went to.
Yeah. Okay, I see.
But the rainbow gatherings did start in 1971, 1972.
That's what
That was when they started. Yeah, but I wasn't part of that,
So, but I guess the point was that I presume that they teach that all paths kind of lead to the same place. That it's all And I was also in that philosophy. I remember when I came to Trondheim and got to know Anya and the guys, because I thought that whatever happens is going to give you an experience that's going to take you in a positive direction. It's like you can't go wrong. Whatever happens is going to slowly spiral up to enlightenment for you.
Yeah.
And they told.
Well, that's an open philosophy. That's a good philosophy.
Mm-hmm.
If that's, it'll spiral you up. But you knew if you went to the bar, it wouldn't spiral you up. You knew that wasn't going to lead to a higher goal.
No, and that's why I never went to the bar. Obviously, I avoided.
Yeah, I mean, so you had your understanding of what is higher and what is lower, and what will take you one direction or another direction.
Mm.
Yeah, but yeah, I remember one time, because I was raised a Christian. I you know that I was, and I always understood that there was Jesus. I mean, somehow, nobody had to convince me. I just grew up with that understanding. Jesus was real, and his teachings were real, and they were good. And if you followed his teachings, you couldn't go wrong. I just knew that. See? But then, in the late teenager, university, and so on in years, you just you're not active in applying any of that or showing much interest in those things, because there's a lot of other things going on, that are attracting the senses and the whole desire pattern and so on. But I was on the beach in Honolulu, behind this famous hotel there, Royal Hawaiian Hotel. It's the oldest hotel in Waikiki. And it dates back way before all the skyscrapers and everything that's there now. It's just some small little, almost disappeared hotel in the middle of these giants. But at one point, that was number one. Anyway, I used to go to the beach there every day, and I remember there was this guy, and he was kind of around this group of people that were always there. But I heard him one time from a distance. I wasn't involved in the conversation. I just heard him tell somebody, Jesus is on the planet right now. And my ears just caught that sound and went boing. And I went, wow, what did he say? And I didn't even go ask him, but I was just like, where is he? I wanted to know more about it, but I didn't go pursue it. But I just remember how much interest that generated just hearing that statement. Mm-hmm. I don't know exactly what he's referring to. Probably some person who claimed he was Jesus or whatever. I don't know. But the point is, that just was something that was very attractive to me. And, it wasn't that long after that, I started getting more and more interested in yoga and meditation and vegetarianism and so on like that. It kind of just was, a little bit pre that moment, but still I was like, and I'm sure I wasn't the only one who heard it, but I'm sure other people didn't take much interest at all.
But because you that's what you were looking for. You were looking for someone who knew the truth.
Yeah, I was when I heard about karma, and this was again just way back there, before there was any authoritative presentation of karma or anything. This one guy just kind of told me something about karma, and your actions are going to, come back on you. Whatever you do now, you're going to have to pay a result. And it was very vague and no details and just very general. But I just said, wow. And then I started looking at the life I was leading. I went, man, I got to change a lot of stuff. because I knew things I'm doing now, if there's going to be a result from this, it's not going to be good.
Yeah.
So I started really thinking more about maybe I shouldn't do this, maybe I shouldn't do that, so on. So I was a bit, sensitive to those truths. They were truths, and the person that told me, he didn't have any kind of knowledge much either. We just had some vague concept that but it was enough to just make me think,
So it doesn't.
But that's just me. I'm just that person. But other people, it's very different.
So it doesn't mean that you have to be perfect to be able to pass it on. Like he barely knew, but there was truth in what he said, but he didn't.
Yeah, he wasn't living any kind of righteous lifestyle at all.
No.
He was just like all of us. But somewhere he heard that and believed it enough to say it. And so you never know what you say. And that guy will never know that it had any effect on him.
Yeah.
I can't even remember exactly who it was. To tell you the truth.
Okay.
I remember kind of, but not really. But, we never know how much effect what we may say will have on someone else. And years later, that may, be an impetus for them to take another step on the breaking trail journey.
Yeah. I know exactly what you mean, and I don't have any clear examples in my mind, but that's happened several times when people in some years go by after you've told them something, and they come back and you can't even remember that you met them there and told them that, but they're so grateful that you. But that goes the other way, I guess. Be careful what goes out, because if you put something out that's non-truth, then.
Yeah, you can lead people in the wrong direction very easily, and we're responsible for that too. Yeah, so if you're going to try to teach, you better teach correctly. And
but it's funny what you said. Yeah,
go ahead.
Well, I was going to, because when you said this about Jesus, it's very funny actually, because when I was, I guess I was 16, I just when I was 15, I went to Christian camp and I kind of converted into Christianity. I felt that was the path that I wanted to follow, and they had a lot of like ski camps when you went to this. So we went to this alpine resort and we were skiing on the day, and the evenings we were watching documentaries and movies and discussing them from a Christian perspective. And so this one night we were seeing this Green Mile, this guy who I don't know I can't remember the whole story, but this black guy who's kind of like carrying the diseases of all the people on his shoulders, and he eventually is executed as well. But he's kind of like a miracle worker. I guess that's a good description for him. And afterwards we were discussing that, and I brought up the point that I felt like, he was Jesus, and there might be, many Jesuses out in the world. Maybe that's not just the one, but maybe there are more. And I remember that was also like, to me, this, just kind of like this realization that, wow, there might actually be some living person out there now that might know. It just dawned upon me at that time, like, oh wow.
Yeah, and the fact that you were at this event is an indication you were looking for something.
Totally.
So what does it say in the Bible? You seek and you shall find. Knock and it shall be opened unto you. So the seekers will always find, what does it say in Bhagavad Gita? If 4 classes of pious men come to me, the man who's in distress, the man who's in need of money, the inquisitive, and the wise. See? So if you're inquisitive, you're in that category of, I want to know, I'm just asking questions, then you'll get answers. And the wise, that's the person who's really, either he knows, a lot of the truth, or he's really seriously, he's not just inquisitive, checking it out. I mean, he's really a seeker, and eventually he comes to that too. So that's the pious men. Now we got to qualify this. That's the pious men, So the pious person, when he has some distress in his life, some bad situation, he turns to the Lord. See? Or the man who's in need of money. See, that's another reason. Oh, he turns to the Lord. Or the inquisitive, he turns to the Lord. Or the actual wise, he turns to the Lord. That's the pious man. But the impious category, they don't. See, they go other places. They're in distress. They don't go to the Lord. They go to, the bar, or they go to the psychiatrist, or they go to wherever they go, or the man who's in need of money, he goes to another source. Or the inquisitive is looking for, non-answers, really.
Or answers that lead in circles.
Yeah. And then the impious category, there's no wise people. They're just not wise. So that's why a society that is promoting pious lifestyle, clean lifestyle, healthy lifestyle, yoga lifestyle, that is going to make it so a person is more likely, he's in this pious category, he's more likely, no matter what situation occurs, to turn to the Lord.
Yeah.
You see? But if we've got a society that's, promoting impious activity, then that's not going to happen.
Yeah.
So, one of the basic, tenets of the Vedas is to lead a pious life.
That's kind of like a mode of goodness life.
Mode of goodness, moral principles, just try to be a good person, and then if you, want to really, know what it is, perform activities that are prescribed in the scripture. See, that's pious activity. And that just makes it so a person's consciousness is on a higher level. But the impious activity and lifestyle and the societal influences has the opposite effect.
Yeah.
And people just keep going lower and lower and lower.
Yeah.
It seems like there's no bottom to where a person can go.
We were speaking about the motive or the modes of nature at this retreat as well, so that's a nice connection as well. That.
Yeah.
So because like you said again, we can get stuck in the circles of discussion and speculative things, but I guess the idea that people can take away from this is like do the steps required to get to this direction if you have an honest desire to go to that direction of and feel in your heart that this is what you want, like actual well-being and something deeper than perhaps what you have now. Change, because if you're happy where you're now, then you don't have to come to our, you don't have to follow this, you don't have to come to our meditation retreat. If everything's already great, then okay, then
if everything's already great, it's already great.
Yeah. Not that you have to be in a big, like I told them as well, like you weren't in a big bummer when you came to this knowledge, but you felt that there was something higher. Yeah.
Yeah. Yeah, I was definitely not a bummer. Riding the bubble.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. So, yeah.
I think we can.
Anyway, we just meet people, and it's wonderful. You're doing, those retreats, and people are coming, and they get exposed to something that probably they haven't been exposed to before.
Yeah.
And, like this lady told you, it was completely different.
Yeah.
I already knew what it was going to be like. Was it like? No, completely different. Exposed to something new, another whole way of looking at life with some information. There's information there. It's not just looking at life from a different angle. It's information. And that's what people have now. I mean, they got so much information. It's information overload sometimes.
Yeah.
But what is the source of the information? And if you look back, it's all driven by different, agendas, personal motivations. Everybody's got, an axe to grind. They want something out of it.
No.
They want you to hear what they want you to hear and don't want you to hear what they don't want you to hear. And so this kind of information is a problem. Everybody's hearing more than they've ever heard before.
Yeah.
Like when I grew up on the farm, you didn't get much information, and it was what information I did get, in most part, was good information. They had a little radio that people listened to for the news, and but I mean, it was a completely different world. There weren't videos stacked on top of videos about this and that and the next thing, and now it's just overload.
Yeah. So I don't know if you wanted to finish to say to add something else to this, but I think it's maybe time to chant. And
yeah, it's time to chant. I just looked at my watch. So no, I think we've kind of just walked around the subject a couple of times, and and again, people who are interested in these kind of things, they'll maybe take something away that's relevant to them. So yeah, let's chant.
Yep.
Gauranga Haribo. Never get tired of that one?
Me no. Yeah.
Harebo. Goranga Harebo. Goranga Goranga Harebo. Goranga Harebo. Goranga, Goranga Haribo, Haribo, 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 Goranga, Goranga Haribo. Haribo, Goranga Haribo, Haribo, Goranga Haribo, Goranga Haribo. Haribo.
Haribo, Haribo. I think I'm lagging. I'm freezing a bit here.
Yeah, you are.
Sorry for that. Put on some more clothes
that's
for
all right.
the next episode.
Yeah.
No. Yeah.
So yeah, thank you, Ruben, for another fun chat.
Yeah, thank you, Balakhilya. It's really appreciated. Get some real answers.
As always, here at the Chintamani studio, we appreciate these opportunities.
Yeah.
And we'll have our guest on next week.
Yeah, for sure.
And a few others after that.
Some new faces.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So,
looking forward.
And highball to your big family there.
Yeah. And Lisa visiting.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah.
She's doing well?
Yeah, she's doing well. She just walked by here with her sticks.
Oh, okay. Yeah, tell her highball.
Yeah. Well. All right, Balkan.
Okay, mate. So take care and all the best.
You too. Haribo.
Namaste.
Right. right, so that's what we had for you. We hope that if you have any questions, thoughts, comments, please write to us, and we can bring it up in future recordings. Check out our link tree to go to our website. We also now have an emailing list, so if you do want updates every week on upcoming episodes and other stuff, then do subscribe to that one. Yeah, thank you again for listening in, really. And remember, stay true to yourself and dare to break trail.